Happy Thursday there, senor.
Hey, happy Thursday, sir.
Coming at you live here at Insight Production Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Robert Morales from Our CEO Network. Our CEO Network, good people, better business, discovering the best of you. Well, for the next hour, we're going to be talking to a very special guest of mine about his life, his business, and about this business protection stuff. And towards the last segment of our show today, we will be having a live question and answer session. So if you have any questions that are coming in, hit the little question bar at the bottom, and we'll answer them as we go along. If you're watching us live, get us a little heart emoji, because we love the loves. If you're watching us on the replay, give us a little wow emoji, because wow, I can't believe you're not watching us live. So find us here on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Our CEO Network. Our CEO Network, again, here to help you with your marketing needs. So with that said, I do have an intro for our special guest today. He has a master's degree in industrial engineering and in industrial management from the Arizona State University. He has been in business development and commodity manager for Intel Corporation in the past. For the past 10 years, he has been part of the Robotics Development Council for Corpora Robotics, based in Madrid, Spain. He is a Juris Doctor in business and in corporate law. He is also the managing attorney for the Legal Business Global. If you could please welcome Marcus Garciaacosta.
Gotta
get the live studio audience in here.
Oh, great. Thank you, everybody, for your applause.
Yeah, you gotta calm down. Put them away. Hola, señor. Hi.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for having us today here.
That's what we do. So we're here to get to know you a little bit better, a little bit about your business and how to protect, our businesses as we go along. Obviously, we've been faced with a lot of crisis, a lot of things going on in today's world. And I guess the best way to go about it is ask for legal help at times. And as we get into that, or before we get into that, we can talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. The one of the things that people need to pay attention to when it is in business as well in personal life is always be ready to understand and to be able to tackle the worst things that can happen. Right now, we're going through two major crises. It could be more depending on how you look at it. But we obviously have the health crisis with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And we also have the social unrest that is going on with some of the injustices with our black brothers and sisters. So, all of that looks like stuff happening out there. But if you were not prepared, it's hard to tell what is specifically going to happen, but you need a plan for whatever the world throws at you. So that's my philosophy, my principles, and one of those contingency plans have to do with basically, your legal protection to a large degree. Obviously, there has to be other elements, financial, health, personal.
Yeah.
But for a business person, legal is a big one.
Well, before we get into the legal aspect of kind of what we're here to talk about, because we're here to talk about protecting businesses, I want to get into you a little bit first. I see that your last name is it's not necessarily unique, but it's uniquely spelled. It's all kind of one word, Garciaacosta.
Yeah, so that's my family name, and what it happens here in the United States. People are not used to having
multiple last names,
family names. And so that was one of the things I was struggling all the time. So it made it, I just decided to, formalize it if you want.
Yeah.
And just make it easier for people to not to misspell it or write it the wrong way. Also, it helps a lot when it comes to searches.
Yeah.
And when you go into online searches and things like that, there aren't that many people that come up if you search for the name and that last name, if you remember that. There's other things that I've done to be able to get out. It wasn't the original idea, but it helps when it comes to SEO and searching.
Oh, so it's somewhat strategic. It wasn't just like because
Not,
I noticed you're from Tampico, Mexico. I'm Mexico.
yep,
So
yeah,
I am Hispanic, but I do have my troubles.
no, 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 that's fine. That's good. Yeah, I'm from originally from Mexico, being here pretty much all my life. But it wasn't with the with the purpose of getting some marketing benefit, but
Yeah.
it's there and it works out that way. So why shouldn't I just take advantage of that?
You might as well. So, I mean, was that again strategic when you were coming up? At what age did you make it to the United States?
I was 20, so pretty much my whole adult life I've been here.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and then did you come as an attorney? Because I saw some of your background. It wasn't necessarily. It didn't start as a JD. You know, you have your JD. It started off in engineering. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I studied engineering in Mexico, graduated, and different things happened. I ended up working for a company with a base here, and I ended up here and stay here for a long time, move around. Well, stay here and still here. Uh,
Yeah.
and as an engineer, an electronics engineer, I was working on technology and a lot of things. I was having a lot of experience on the, kind of like the running or the managing of production.
Yeah.
So that explains my master's degree from ASU. And then I started doing a lot of work related to contracts, negotiations, drafting, preparing, intellectual property, monitoring, and things like that. And I like it a lot. So that's where I decided to do my, hopefully, my last
Last career.
academic jump. Okay. And it also set the stage for this new professional portion of my life.
So how long you been doing being an attorney for? Because your focus has been contract law and in
Yeah.
patents. We'll kind of get into that more, but how long you been involved with being an attorney?
So as a licensed attorney, I've only been licensed for 5 years,
Uh-huh.
but I have been involved in all that for probably over 20 years. So it is not like I became an attorney and then I decided to go into that area. I was already in that area, and then I realized that becoming an attorney gave me a little bit of more tools and ammunition
Yeah.
for being able to work with people and helping people.
So what was the motivation to kind of switch from that? I mean, you enjoy the industry, you enjoy what you were doing. How do you switch over to now? I guess protecting it in one perspective. But what was the thing that just kind of made you switch like that?
So there were a number of factors, and when I started working on all the business and legal aspects
Yeah.
on still an engineer, I like it a lot, and I started working with a lot of attorneys, and it was a little bit of a um, how would I say, a desire in the back of my mind. Like, hey, this law stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to look into that more. And the reality is, I train myself and I look at it myself on many of those aspects. Okay, in an informal way and taking some classes here and there. But in order for you to be really recognized at a certain level,
Yeah.
you needed to have all the credentials. So that's where I decided to take the jump and do that. It helped also that so most of the law schools, there aren't that many, okay, at least not here in Arizona. There's basically two, ASU and U of A. But there was during a period, a third one, and they offer night programs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I did it. I was working full time and going pretty much full time to school. So it was crazy. It was exhausting. It was probably the most challenging experience in my life. I don't recommend to anybody, but I did it, and I succeeded. So,
And so you've had a practicing law firm for the last 5 years. I did see that you have an office in Mesa, right on Main and Stapley.
yep, it is pretty much in downtown. It is in a very nice set of buildings.
I did see that, yeah.
And we are set up in there more than anything to be close to the community. Although the majority of the practice that I do on, my efforts are in business and intellectual property, I also serve the community with you know, some of their needs. It could be family, it could be some other kind of cases that they need legal support. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, so typically, the first portion of this is getting to know you a little bit better. And I do often troll people on Facebook to kind of see what they're mixed into and kind of what they're up to. You seem to be a very quiet guy. I mean, you do get out in the community. I don't know if I'm misperceiving that, but kind of quiet. You're not necessarily kind of flaunting out there. You're not one of the ones ahead of the show, but you're definitely kind of in the mix of things. Would you consider yourself an introvert?
Yeah, I guess I am, or I used to be much more.
Yeah.
I had to come out of my shell over the years so I could just make it, survive or succeed, however you want to look at it. And I'm pretty active on social media, but more from the perspective of the information that I provide. I really don't care much about me personally,
Yeah.
in the sense that, and again, I don't want to brag about it, but I do believe that I bring a special set of skills, kind of like Liam Neeson on the movie.
Oh boy, which
and
movie?
it's very, if you remember that one, Taken, where he
Oh,
calls this guy and says, "Hey, I have a very special set of skills that I developed over the years," and so that's what I tell. That's my personal, analysis, and it's kind of difficult for others to replicate it. There's the language, there's the culture, there's the kind of clients that I'm focusing on, and the kind of people that look for me. So, and how I, move my try to address my business. So I really don't need to be waving my flag from the perspective of myself. But what I do is I just provide information and knowledge to people.
Yeah.
And I do believe they appreciate it.
So is it okay if I call you Liam from now on?
Yeah, that could be nice.
You don't happen to have a teenage daughter, right? We don't have to worry about that.
No.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about you being international spy. That's okay.
Who knows? Maybe I am. Don't discount that one though.
Oh boy, yeah, the shy one in glasses. Always watch for the shy one.
Exactly.
I would know, and probably that's how I describe Violet. But as we come to our first quarter, I do have to talk about our sponsors. So 1 second, sir. I'm going to play a short video that I'm going to narrate somewhere. So I'm honored to thank one of our long-term sponsors, Basaka Art Photography. Owner Dora Basaka has a photo studio on Old Town Scottsdale, located at 7121 South 5th Avenue, Suite 15. Basaka Art Photography has not only sponsored our marketing events, but they have coordinated with our CEO network our print marketing needs. They've included such things as banners, logo backgrounds, and even our polo shirt embroidering. Basaka Art Photography specializes in unique photo services such as portrait, family, social, and private events. So find them here on Facebook at Basaka Art Photography, basakaart.com, or 480-479-2684. I love my Dora. She is a fabulous part of who we are as a network, and really a person that I guess emphasizes or accentuates what we are as a business here at RCO Network. So coming back to you, sir. So we are here at the core of what we're here to talk about. Talking about this whole business stuff, protecting businesses. Coming from Mexico to the United States, I'm sure you had to kind of be very conscientious about how you conduct business, especially in a new country, and how that goes about. So what if I'm a new business? What are the first things I should know about, and how should I protect myself coming into? I just started this thing.
So one of the things, give me 1 second. Okay.
I'll give you 2.
Um,
Oh, people are watching you live, so you got to be careful.
yeah. It should be on. What the heck? That.
Got a breakdown and stuff.
Yeah. No, I was looking for something as a prop, but so never mind. So this is what I tell people. The first thing before you go into and before you jump into a business, and this is basically the same analysis I give to everybody, is, how committed are you? And so a lot of this has nothing to do with the law itself, but it's just, some of that is just common sense, obviously, but you also want to make sure that you don't spin your wheels and spend time and money on something that you really don't have your heart on that. There's a lot of ways to make money, and it would be pretty sad if you go into something just for the money, which it's very important, but if you're going to be miserable doing that. So you got to have that balance, and you're not going to be happy all the time, but you got to be able to ride the ups and downs so you can keep moving forward. So it's the commitment. The first thing is, hey, are you committed? The second one is a hobby or a business? Because then the structure and the investment that you need to do is going to be probably substantially different. And then the third one, and a lot of people, don't pay much attention to it, is, do you really know what you're doing? There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that people need to learn and study. But the basic one is, you're going to cook. Do you know, you want a restaurant, do you know how to cook? Or do you know how to get the people that are going to be doing the cooking? Are you going to be able to tell the difference between a good product and a bad product, or a good service and a bad service? Once you got all that, then, I'd recommend people join groups for, could be your group. There's other groups that offer.
We like our group.
There's a lot of free information. I provide a lot of that online and in talks like this, for example. But then you start getting into, okay, I'm really going to do this business. I really know what I'm doing, or I think I know what I'm doing. On the formal process, I recommend people to figure out from the beginning what's going to be your overall branding identity. A lot of people leave it to the end, and in many cases you could run into problems, because for whatever legal reasons, your name, whatever you want to call your product or your service, is not protectable. Somebody else has it. It's very similar to somebody else. You're going to get into trouble, whatever that is, because then that's gonna, especially now with all these crises we're going through. A lot of the business has moved online. There's going to be a lot of aspects, especially if what you provide is a service. You don't have to be physically anywhere. Okay, even if you provide a product, it could be, I don't know, T-shirts, or it could be food. There's a lot, the physical part, the contact of your customer with a physical product, it has been, could be minimized, where you probably don't have to think too much about having a restaurant or having a big factory or things like that, or having a store. Okay.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have big hearts and not really big heads, and so they come across with their ideas and they just kind of go for it, whether it's a product or service, and then when things get frustrating, I think people tend to be consultants. That's just that's the backup one. But
yeah, the thing I tell people also is like, double in it, give it a test the waters. If you know how to cook, it's like, hey, help somebody at a restaurant for a week or a weekend, or go and get a job and figure out if you really like doing that and if you understand the business. Because maybe you'll end up hating it if you've never done it, and you realize how complicated it is, and you say, no, I really don't want to be doing this. Because being an entrepreneur it can be difficult. It's going to depend. It's going to require your whole attention. So going back a little bit on the checklist, my checklist, basically,
The legal aspects.
the legal aspects, legal, business, strategic aspects is what are you going to call this thing? It's one of the most important things for any entity. So a person, which is a entity, you give it them a name and identification, and that's going to brand them to some degree for the rest of their life. So the same thing is going to happen with you. And although I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody, but having that title of ownership of the name, the trademark, whatever your logo, can be very important in the future. And there's some of these has to be, a recursive process where you start with one thing, you check, you realize that it's not going to work, you go back and until you find the right combination of things. You may have to play with the name, you may have to play with the spelling, you may have to play with the order of the letters, different things. And it is critical nowadays, I mentioned, as you have moved online, because that could, that could be critical for you to align all your presence, your online presence, basically. So you're talking about, your website domain, your Facebook, your Instagram, your whatever you want, Spotify, your I don't know, TikTok, Pinterest, whatever you want. There's hundreds of different platforms where you probably want to get your name there for a number of reasons. One of them being found, okay, by your potential clients. And if you are giving them a different name on different things, that's just gonna confuse them. So you're gonna make sure that all that is aligned, and before you go and buy the domain, you gotta make sure that it's protectable, that you're not infringing on somebody else, and then make sure it's available on Facebook, etc., etc. Then once you have that, then it kind of goes in parallel. Once you get to, okay, all these things are available, and we're gonna go with these, and we feel pretty comfortable that we won't run into any problems. You need to go and register them, file, protect them, form your company. If you feel it is necessary, and if you're going to start doing some real business, I don't tell people to form the company when they still just have an idea. Oh, I'm going to open a restaurant, so I open a company. Maybe, maybe not, depends. But once you are through all the commitment phase, it's like, okay, yeah, I know how to run the restaurant. I know what kind of restaurant it's going to be. I know what kind of menu I want to put. You don't have to have everything nailed down. But if you have already gone out and, I don't know, cater a few dinners, lunches, things like that, then yeah, once you start charging money to people and money starts coming in, then you gotta do the legal and financial aspect. But then you already have your identity protected. You go and form the company. Most of the time, I just recommend form a regular LLC. Don't get any partners. It's only you. Makes it simple to keep track of everything.
Yeah,
A bank account with that, get your tax ID, and then you start moving through the more operational and execution side. I don't necessarily get too involved on that, but I kind of like point them, and that's where some of the groups here in the community that are doing, some of them doing consulting, some of them giving you the specific training, some of them opening incubators, for example, where they teach you all the steps to open this kind of business. And I collaborate with them and teach them all these things. They can help you. It's like, hey, I want to open a restaurant. I don't know what I need to do. Like, well, you need to get, a license for cooking. You need to meet all these criteria. You need to have a hood. You need to have trap for grease. It gets into the nitty gritty. I'm not the expert on all those things, but I can tell you, I may not be able to tell you if you are doing everything right.
Yeah.
I may be able to tell you when you are doing things wrong, because I think they are.
That sounds like my dad. He always tells me what I'm doing wrong, and very few times tell me I'm doing right.
And then point you to people that can have more information about it and can help you better.
So, I mean, as far as the structure of things, because you did mention a restaurant, and I think we can probably talk about a slew of different areas, and there's so many different ways and ways to contract. I guess there are contracts that are inherent. I mean, if you go into a restaurant, you read a menu, and I see the tacos, on the dinner on the menu. You order those, you pay for that. That's a transaction. Obviously, you saw the product, identified what it was, and you paid for that product. But there's no like formal contract. Nobody signs a menu and says, okay, I ordered that. For those businesses that need a contract and are looking to establish a more formalized agreement, I guess what bridge is crossed in order to go from just like an inherent contract to a verbal contract or a written contract?
Yeah. So having a formal contract can be a little bit complex, and it could scare people, especially the other part.
Yeah, especially if you go into Filiberto's and you have to sign a contract before you get your tacos.
Yeah, actually, when you go to to a baseball game, for example,
yeah,
or a football game, there's a contract and it's in the back of your ticket, and it is basically you are not, you are buying a license to be there. So it is approached in a different way. So in return for the money you pay, you're given the permission to be there for certain day, certain time, to do certain things, and you are also waiving a bunch of things. But going back to your question, a typical attorney would tell you, oh, you need to have a contract for everything. I would tell you, it's just use common sense, and what is your level of pain that you're willing to tolerate.
Oh boy.
So for example, if you are gonna buy something that is, and I had a lot of people call me and said, oh, I was gonna have a quinceañera, and I gave a deposit for a dress, and the company disappear or they are closed. What do I do? How much do you pay? It's like $500. It's like, it's probably going to cost you. You could go to small claims, you could do it yourself, but it's going to cost you much more than that to get somebody to represent you. It could be depending on the level of pain, both economically and the results. Typically, I would say above $5,000, you probably want to be protected by a contract. And this is another thing I tell both business people and individuals: don't make a big payment. And the same thing with the people, providing the service. Don't let the other person owe you a lot of money. Don't have a big outstanding debt with them, and at the same time, don't give them a lot of money up front.
Yeah.
Make some calculations. If it is $10,000, maybe you cut it into 4 or 5 payments. If paying the other person, if I'm going to be doing $20,000 worth of work, maybe I need to get paid like $2,000-$3,000 at a time, and you got to deliver that amount of work. That is typically what the big companies would do on a big project. You got milestones and you got deliveries and you got a bunch of different things with that. And also it limits your risk. I mean, if all you have is, okay, I'm owed one payment and that's $3,000, you do the calculation and say, okay, it's better for me just to walk away if they don't pay me. than to get into a fight with them. It's just going to cost you more. Obviously, you want to make sure you are protected with a number of things, and that's where a contract would come into play versus not having one.
Well, and then going to Filiberto's at 1:00 in the morning, I know what kind of pain I'm going to suffer, and that's not a contract I I welcome very easily. So, but we're at the half hour of our show, sir, and we're just going to take a small commercial break, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the structure of businesses and a little bit more about your business too.
We are a community.
We are a community.
We are a community.
A community of entrepreneurs and owners.
A community of entrepreneurs and owners.
A community of entrepreneurs and owners.
We face many challenges,
But we lead with our hearts.
And we push forward.
Push forward.
We
push
forward
To overcome any obstacle.
And we have found a place
That we can share ideas. To support one another.
And help each other.
when it matters most.
Come join us.
Join us.
Come join us because
This is our
This is our CEO network.
I can't do it. I can't smile at the end.
Thank you, and welcome back. If you're enjoying the show, please give us and continue to give us those hearts because we love the loves and those wow emojis because I just like the emoji. Here again with Marcos Garciaacosta from Legal Business Global. I'm trying to get that right, sir. Talking about business structures a little bit. We did talk a little bit and started to talk about kind of the entities and formalizations of business. Before we get into kind of your business a little bit, the one common question I have with a lot of people that come across, my path and in the network, what you said, formulating an LLC, that's just across the board generalization because there are other entities like S corps and C corps. Is there a place for those, or is there a structure for that? Can you explain kind of the differences and what people would need?
Yeah, the typical LLC and the typical one, the LLC, is mostly recommended for simple businesses. You want to protect yourself, you register our CEO network LLC in Arizona, and that's more than enough. Could also be for a small number of owners. I always caution people about having partners because that adds another layer of complexity. And I was talking to a client yesterday. She's a dentist, and obviously, she does all the dental work and things like that. And she was telling me about, especially with all these changes because of the COVID and things like that, how she is, struggling to implement all these different procedures and how people, they're not following what she asked them to do, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to be about people for better or worse. You're going to have to work with people, your customers, for the most part are people, are humans, unless you work with pets, and still the ones are humans. Your employees, your vendors, everybody. So that's going to be the most difficult portion, probably, of anything that you're going to do in your life. So having that as part of within your business can add a tremendous amount of stress. And personally, and for other people, I said, hey, what is the amount of stress and aggravation that you're willing to tolerate? So, that will tell you the kind of business you care to go into and how you go with people. So going back to the structure, there's also legal obligations if you have other partners and other shareholders. So an LLC is a pretty simple, where it could be one person, it could be a couple. It may work also for small partners, small owners, 3, 4, 5 people. I wouldn't recommend much more than that. I mean, you could, but again, dealing with all the complexity in the relationships, it's there. The other ones, which are basically corporations, and there's a little bit of divisions like, doctors and attorneys and accountants, they have to be professional corporations or limited, professional limited liability companies, which is basically the same. But the corporations, I only recommend them when you are going to have a more complex ownership structure. That's basically for shareholders. It's basically for people buying stock. Doesn't have to be traded like in the stock exchange or anything. You may have 20% and just sit on it forever. But there are other levels of responsibility, especially here in Arizona. If you have an LLC in Arizona, you form it, you pay it, and it is alive until you kill it, basically. And you have to go and tell the government, hey, I don't want this LLC anymore, shut it down. But if you are a corporation, you need to do reports. And also in the LLC world, here in Arizona, at least, you don't have to file anything. Just when you form it, and then until you don't want it anymore. In a corporation, you have to be doing regular updates. Every year you need to file. You need to have, you need to issue stock, which is a nightmare on its own. People have to pay for the stock, which could be good. It's typically what people do when they are raising money, or like, a Shark Tank or the Silicon Valley, those kind of things, the Prophet, all those guys, when they, depending on how they have it structured, basically give you a check, I get 20% of the shares or 50%, whatever that is. It's highly regulated, so don't do that. Don't even think about it. I got a number of people that I work with that got in trouble. And good thing is that it wasn't done with bad faith. It was just, not knowing what was the right way to go. Again, sometimes I cannot tell you, how to do certain things, but I can tell you when it shouldn't be done the way it's been done, and then we can work on finding the right person to help you. Yeah. So in this case, I'm working with different people that got into that trouble exactly because they got so excited. Oh, I got a corporation. I'm going to get investors and things like that. So in a nutshell, that's basically what you want to do. And also just a quick, everybody knows about Chrysler, the car company.
Yeah.
Gone through ups and downs and bankruptcies and everything, didn't acquire. But the entity that runs the business here in the United States is an LLC. And they don't need any more because they are owned by an Italian company, Fiat. So, works for them. If it works for them, it should work for you too.
Yeah, and there's so many questions, and I'm very conscientious of time, and we got about 20 minutes left, and I did want to get into your practice a little bit too. So real quick, if there is a quick answer, coming into the business, what's a very common mistake that you see a lot of new businesses make from the very onset that gets them in legal trouble?
So that's the biggest one I just mentioned. Yeah. You get too excited, and people need to realize that the business is their business. Yeah. It's nobody else's business. So, and if you have supporters, if you got cheerleaders, you got a lot of customers, you want to create a fan base. Okay, not only customers, and that's fine. But be very, very careful and sensitive about giving expectations that they are getting anything else as part of the business. Again, it is very regulated. You can get in trouble very easily. And that could be kind of like the big public service announcement that I would make for everybody. The other one, and it's probably less impactful, it has negative implications, but it is the not securing the rights on your property, intellectual property. And then the last one that I've seen, and it can happen all the time, is signing contracts that you don't really understand what you're getting into. And it may go all the way through implied contracts, and oral contracts to written documents where I've had some cases where they got a strip of a lot of rights over the business and they didn't realize they were doing that.
Are oral contracts, if we have a verbal agreement, I mean, I probably not here on Zoom, but if we had an oral agreement and I didn't facilitate my part of that, I may be a default still, even though it's not in writing.
Yep. And there's
does it need a handshake or that?
Yep. There's a number of things behind it. And again, without getting into a class on contracts, is if you induce somebody to do something, that person does it. And, there's this continuous thing happening, then it could be understood that by the court that there was a contract. Otherwise, let's say you work for somebody or the owner of this, our CEO network is somebody else, and you say, and he tells you, hey, Robert, you're a great guy. You look so good on TV and on screen. So why don't you, I'll take care of you, come in and do all the broadcasts. And then you have these great ideas of, big money and big things. And, you keep doing this for weeks or months. And he said, no, I never said that. That, well, but you told me you would take care of me and you knew I needed money and all that stuff. They tend to be more difficult because you have to prove that a contract existed and then that it was breached, but it is possible.
Oh, and that's very interesting. So we're coming to the last 15 minutes of the show. So I have one more announcement to make. I'm going to go and post that now. So if you want to market your business here with us at Our CEO Network, we create marketing videos, offer social media management support, and highlight you at our network marketing events. Instant message us here on Facebook at Our CEO Network for details about coming to and being a sponsor and our networking and marketing opportunities. So powered by the DSODIA, Digital Social Media Management. Gabby Chaidez, owner of DSODIA, and of course here at Insight Productions, we're here to take care of your video audio needs as we go forward in your marketing. So again, DM us, instant message us here on Facebook for more information and details. So sir, the last portion of this is going to be our question and answer, but I did want to run through one thing because you do have a number of clients, and this is posted on your on your website, so I can't get in trouble legally for showing it. I got to watch myself. I'm in front of an attorney. But this is a list of clients that you represent. And do you want to kind of go over the services? Because like I said, we're nearing the end of our show today. Do you want to go over the list of services that you offer as an attorney?
So these people over here, and as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the things companies need to do is, hey, what am I gonna do? What do I like to do? What am I good at doing? Things of that. So all the listing here is people related to intellectual property or contracts, and I've helped them. So the ones that are writers, the two at the bottom, they are pretty well-known writers within their scope of within their field. Terry Green Sterling, both of them are local, and she's written for the Arizona Republic, New Times, different magazines, both local and nationally, and she has a few books on immigration. So look her up. And I help her with things like the contracts that she signs with her agents and partners. And things like that.
The most interesting one I had was the Magic Men show business.
Yeah.
I was curious. I saw that and I'm like, I'm very curious about that one. But
so
I guess we don't have to get into specifics.
So I got invited to that one, and I brought my wife. Obviously, it was more for her than for me. It was I was at the Comerica Theater. I think they changed the name. I don't remember what it is. It's downtown. And it was full of women. And they had some, I would say, older ladies, grandmas, if you want, that they brought to the stage. And yeah,
oh boy,
there was a lot of women there. and they were behaving very nice.
Well, again, we don't have to get into the specific details. And then I guess one more picture too, because I did see this on the website, and I did see your number of pictures. And who is this woman that is here in the picture with
Oh,
you?
that's my wife, and she's also my assistant. So she helps me with all the everything that you see in the website and on my social media. She takes care of that. So, you know, she's taught me everything I know about the social media, the SEO, all that stuff.
Yeah,
She's
I
on
know.
top of that.
I'm sure she's still teaching you how to behave.
I'm about a student of that.
So again, a quick just run through of your services. From here, you help out with restaurants, food industry, entertainment, musicians such as rappers and Mexican banda. So
Yeah, I do have a few
rappers.
If you're okay, I can do a plug for a few of them. I mean, you'll have to look them up.
Jay-Z,
There's a local
Beyonce.
group. Huh?
Jay-Z, Beyonce, no.
No, not those ones yet. But hey, one day
I need tickets.
I'll get in that direction. But there's a Banda La Tremenda. That's a group, and there's another one that I think is coming up. Grupo Silverado. Look them up, book them, call them, and maybe you can interview them, Robert. Those are some. I mean, I got a lot of other ones, but those are local guys, and I'm helping them with registrations of brands and copyrights and things like that.
So the biggest things are trademarks, copyright, and
contracts, trademarks.
So if you're a small business and you're getting into this, I mean, the best thing to do is get advisement early on. And, I think, and I'm sure you would agree that people come to you vastly more when they're in trouble, more than they're trying to get out of trouble versus trying to prevent trouble from happening. And so if you have any questions regarding contracts and trademarks and logos, that sort of thing, I did have some questions from our audience before we came on. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you that now. I'm going to go ahead and put your information up on here so people know how to contact you. But as we get into some of the questions, the first question I had, so David from Chandler, I created a logo for my business about a year ago, and my cousin started up his business recently and basically started using my logo with a couple small changes. What can I do to protect myself?
Again, what's more important, the relationship or the value of the logo?
He's a cousin. So.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to see him at Christmas and Thanksgiving? If you still think you want to defend your position, which is a valid expectation, ask him to stop nicely. You can send a cease and desist letter yourself or through an attorney. You could do then beyond that, then escalates into some kind of a legal confrontation, lawsuit and things like that, where a judge could order him to stop doing that. He may also order some damages, basically paying you for the damage he caused to your business. Because if it is a logo that is in a similar business as what you have, it could create confusion with people and think that, hey, I go to these, Bob Lowe, and in reality, I wanted to go with Robert Morales, but it looks the same. So, that's confusion. If he didn't have it registered, the level of damages could be much lower. If you had it registered, there are a minimum statutory damages around $50,000 that you can claim. So that's one of the benefits of having things registered as far as legal aspect is concerned.
And since the question came up, in a personal situation, my primary business is real estate, and there is another Robert Morales that actually does real estate on the west side of town, and the really messed up thing is he's also bald, and when I grow up with a beard, we look pretty close the same. I mean, so I don't think there's anything legal any action I can take. Maybe a birthright. I don't know if I was born before him, but oddly look the same and have the exact same name. which is
Yeah, and that is a problem with family names and geographical descriptions. They are There are more barriers to registration and protection than and this is a complete. We can have
a sidebar conversation.
Pick what's the best trademark. The best trademarks that you can have are made up names that have no meaning. Xerox, Exxon, I don't know, or names that have no relevance to whatever you're doing, like Amazon. I mean, they don't sell trees, they don't sell animals, they sell everything. Apple, they don't sell fruit, they sell computers. So those kind of things. But trying to protect the name, I'm sure that if we try to protect Robert Morales Realty or real estate,
yeah,
we're probably going to have a ton of them already doing business in the country. So
you're saying I should change my name to Robert Garciaacosta Morales?
that could be a good. That could be awesome.
That's an option.
That could be very easy to identify as different, separate, and half joking. But that could be one approach. The other one could be just have a real estate agent, a real estate company that has a made-up name.
Yeah,
something that doesn't get associated with something that may already exist, and it's the same analysis. I want to protect this name, Robert Morales. Is there anybody else? Yeah, there's a guy over there. There's a guy over there. There's a guy selling these somewhere in Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, what options do I have? And then you just go through the whole exercise we talked at the beginning.
Oh, perfect. See, I got a girl named Charity from Mesa. If I create my business and get a bank account, set up everything, do I still have to pay taxes even if I don't have an income? And just expenses, even though
that is more of a tax question, but again, I may not be able to tell you exactly what to do, but I can
talk to your CPA.
In general, in what direction to go. One, get educated yourself of the business aspect, tax aspects of a business, because as any business person knows, there are deductions that you can take even if you are not making any money. The key thing there, especially from the legal perspective, is you need to be, it has to be a good faith business. It's not just something that you create and then you just put all your expenses under the business and make it look like you're losing tons of money.
You have to try to make money.
So in your case, Robert, or in my case, for example, I don't know, the computer, the printer, the rent of the place, the printing of your whatever you got all over your office, things like that. Those are deductions, and they can deduct your income. So if you just start a side business and you make money on a day job, then your expenses can offset some of your income and reduce your taxes overall. So in reality, yes, you're paying taxes, but in this case, it would be a negative tax. So you're really reducing your taxes.
Would you get any money back, do you think, in that situation?
You could, if you have enough withhold. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm getting a lot of money, which is good rather than paying. But at the same time, you as a business person, that money was your money because you put it in there to begin with. So you got to have a balance there.
Yeah, and I'm not a CPA, but I do communicate with my CPA pretty frequently about a lot of stuff that comes up. And one of the things he did tell me early on is that if you have 2 years of losses, the third year is pretty much a very expensive hobby. So,
yeah.
So charity just.
And that is the question at the beginning: is this a hobby or is this a business? And that is going to be one of the analysis that the IRS could do for you. It's like, no, this is a hobby, so everything that you deducted is not valid.
Yeah.
And because you didn't show the effort to put it as a business. And the other thing, educate yourself when it comes to taxes in general with everything, but there's a lot of software that you can use for your own taxes. And especially if you're a small company, one person, and it's basically, selling a service. I send you a bill, you pay, and I have some expenses, and that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
Then, so most of the software out there can be pretty well suited for that. if you have transactions of selling product, or you got, all kinds of, if you got different businesses, then yeah, you may need to have somebody. Doesn't have to be 100% a CPA or an attorney, but at least either yourself or somebody within your organization needs to understand clearly how to put the money in the right buckets.
Sounds good. And then last question that I have is from Hector from Phoenix. I have a great idea for an iPhone app, but I don't want someone to steal it. How do I protect my idea from being used?
So that's another thing I do, protection of ideas, inventions. And software is probably the most difficult thing, because anybody can see that and replicate it in 5-10 minutes anywhere in the world. The general recommendation you're going to get, and I'll give it to you, and you can ask the experts on that, and that's what they will tell you, is make your app, get it out there, sell as much as you can, move on to the next thing. Because it's going to take, don't tell anybody until you're ready to launch and it works and you can make money out of that. And that's what the technology companies do. Apple is very, very well known for secrecy when it comes to new products, because they don't want somebody to replicate their features or steal the names and things like that. So do what Apple does. Get your work on the product, do it a stealth mode, don't tell anybody. Talk to an attorney maybe for your communications with potential investors, partners, things like that. Typically, that's where you could have a corporation. A lot of people want to invest necessarily on just one single product, but you need to have the vision of what is this company going to be. If it is one single application and it happens to be Amazon.com, and maybe that would be a little bit different. But if it is just a little game or something, who knows?
So the best advice is contacting an attorney, and I think I might know one. So this guy named Marcos Garciaacosta here at Business and Trademark Law, he's an attorney with us here from Legal Biz Global, right? Legal Business Global.
Yep.
And so as your information is here for everybody, to make sure you can either screenshot it or contact Marcos about your legal business needs. You get the last word, sir, if I may. Actually, I did have one question. Is it pretty common for an attorney to take that picture, a picture like that? Seems like very strong. Like, I see a lot of attorneys do that. That seems to be the attorney pose.
Yeah, don't tell my wife. That's not an approved photo by my wife.
I'll take it down.
I think that was kind of like a selfie. I put it on my tripod and took the picture, or I had somebody take the picture for me. She didn't approve of it. So there's some other pictures where I don't know if I look better, but at least she said, yeah, we can put them on the website. So
they look strong there. That was from the website. So that's very.
No, I know, but she hasn't scrubbed all the ugly ones,
Yes. That's what wives are there for. They make you look pretty.
Absolutely.
So is there any last words, sir? We're coming to the end of the show. I just want to make sure there was anything else. Like I said, we have your contact information for any business legal needs, any business questions regarding contracts, trademarks, logos, anything you want to share as we head out.
Well, first of all, thank you, Robert. This is a great thing you're doing for the community. And anything that you need or we can help, your circle, your mastermind circle, I'm all for that. And I run into Dora in many events. She does a great job as well. And, anything that you guys need or the community needs, I'm here to help you guys. My goal is and we didn't talk too much about it, but my goal is to help the Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs in the world to be successful doing business in the United States. So that's kind of like my big vision. And, I'm executing onto that. I do have a lot of clients here, some of them probably.
Oh, yeah. We have about 58 mutual friends. So.
Yeah.
We do know each other, but we've never met.
But I do have a lot of other clients all over the world that I'm working with. and that's basically my goal, to to help them make their American dream globally.
Again, I appreciate it, sir. Mr. Marcos Garciaacosta from Legal Business Global. Thank you very much, sir. Good day.
Thank you, Robert. Have a wonderful day.